Team Urza.
For a streamer, you really don't like being asked questions about your deck. This is the deck. Leave me alone.
I don't mind
Watch and play it.
the first 400 times.
Look,
The first 400
every
times.
time I stream, every time, at least 3, sometimes 4, 5 plus people jump on my channel, never seen them before, never heard their name before, right? They're just like, hey, Todd, if you had a tournament to play this weekend in Pioneer, what would you play? Mm-hmm. And my response is, I get this question 4 to 10 times a day.
Post an FAQ.
Watch my stream. I literally tell you every single day what I would play. Most of the time, I'm playing things for fun. But when I'm playing for serious, I always say, hey, this is the deck I want to play this weekend.
So Han was on the play with Snow-Covered Forest into Astrolabe. Mullen had Mountain Soulscar Mage. That gets Galvanic blasted, and then there's a Breeding Pool tapped. Turn 2 for Mullen is Mountain Runaway Steam.
It's about to be real good.
Runaway, it's just kind of clobber him because... Oh, there's a red card at the top of the hand, though. Perhaps another Galvanic Blast.
Perhaps.
Ether Spellbomb will be cast.
He is playing the experimental frenzy version that we saw Ross Merrim and Team BCW on last weekend. So that could be the red card at the top. Mm-hmm. Deck only has 3 Galvanic Blasts, so just as likely that it is a frenzy.
Yeah, not the future sights that we saw earlier in the day.
Yeah. Now, Runaway Steamkin here, getting to untap. This could be a huge turn for Collins.
This is one of those spots where those Burst Lightnings can come in handy. You do want to kill Emery on sight. Monastery Swiftspear, Steamkin grows to 2. Monastery Swiftspear, number 2, Steamkin up to a 3/3. Fiery Islet, Mullen to 19. Cast Lava Spike. Han to 17, Steamkin to 3 counters. And here's an attack. There's 1 Prowess trigger to go for those Swiftspears. They're attacking for 4. Steamkin also attacking for 4. Here's an attack for 8. Would be surprised to see Emery get in the way, though 8 is a lot of damage.
Yeah, this is a pretty beefy attack from Collins. This is 8 damage coming through if Han doesn't choose to chump block. But I don't know how he survives if he does chump block. You know, he really needs to find something like Engineer Explosives to help clean up these creatures. Also, a little land light. Missed a land drop last turn, so.
Right.
Urza and Experimental Frenzy kind of rotting in hand. You have to imagine Frenzy's coming out after this game. That card does not seem very good here.
Yeah, the matchup not so much about attrition, more about speed and interaction. Emery does chump block, so 4 coming across, Honda 13.
Let's see if Han here can put up any resistance. Something like Gilded Goose ain't it.
Well, Gilded Goose is the cast. Largely a chump blocker.
Yeah, the Ether Spellbomb can bounce the Runaway Steamkin here, but I actually would, if I was Han, I might actually just crack this looking for land. There's not a ton that you can do right now, and like, if you don't hit land drops, you're just like never gonna actually win.
Spellbomb's gonna bounce the Steamkin. I believe Mullen floating 3 mana in response. Wonder if he'll do anything with it. Didn't do anything last turn, so probably not.
I believe he has just Bedlam Reveler, Sunbait Canyon, and the Runaway Steamkin now. Unsure if it's guaranteed a Bedlam Reveler, but it looked like it. One of the only things he can't cast off the 3 mana from the Steamkin.
True, true. Mullen will draw for turn. Looked like a lightning bolt picked up. Steamkin redeployed. Uses the Islet to go to 18. Bolting the Goose, I assume. Goose is cooked. That's a good one. I like that one. I'm going to keep using that.
No, that's fine.
Attack for 4 from the Swiftspears. Steamkin up to a 1.
We do better as a team, baby. What's mine is yours.
Sunbait Canyon post-combat.
Well, he did draw the land. Steam Vents is the pickup for Han, but it might be too little too late.
He's at 9 here.
Currently only 4 damage on the battlefield, but 2 of those canopy lands ready to be sacrificed, and some potential burst mana from the Runaway Steamkin.
So here is Oko, Thief of Crowns. He has a shock for it, so he's at 9, or 7 rather, from 9. Got those tiny dice. Let's get some real dice on these cards. There we go. That close. We're getting closer. There we
There
go.
it is. Okay.
Astrolabe is elked. Oko is on 5. And go back to Collins Mullen. Got a couple looks here. He has 2 Horizon lands uncracked. Draws for turn. Tap a 2. I think ideally Manamorphose would be the start, and that's what he has.
Woof.
2 red mana there. Pumps the Swift Spears. Steamkin going up to a 2. Draws a card.
I'd float a green just for the lulz.
Okay.
Yeah. Smart guy.
Then use the green to sacrifice your Horizon land.
Exactly. Oh, looks like he's just spending the mana here. Cast a 3-mana spell. Maybe just light up the stage. Ooh.
It is. And that plays pretty well with the Steamkin here. That'll go up to 3 counters. Finds a Burst Lightning and a Mountain.
Hasn't played a land yet, if I'm not mistaken. Last card, I believe, is Bedlam Reveler, and he's got 4 instant sorceries in the grave. So, could go land.
I mean, he just has lethal. Play the land, use the Steamkin, kick Burst Lightning at the elk, attack.
Yeah, that's 8. Never mind. Forgot Alex shocked.
All right, so he's casting Burst Lightning. Goes to 16 for
That's
it.
also just lethal.
Yeah, it's kind of lethal a couple different ways, right?
Yeah. Attack. Because both the Swiss Spheres are 4/5, so.
Right. Yeah, 3 attackers, any combination of 2 is lethal. And that's going to do it. Collins Mullen picks up game number 1 pretty quickly over Alex Hahn.
Yeah, we saw Hahn struggle a bit in the early turns. He was on the draw. Or no, he was on the draw. Excuse me. Didn't hit a 3rd land drop, and I think it really just cascaded from there.
Players going to sideboard. Alex Hahn has 3 Blood Moon, 3 Anger of the Gods, 2 Ceremonious Rejection, 2 Veil of Summer, 2 Mystical Disputes, a Disdainful Stroke, another Experimental Frenzy, and an Ashiok Dream Render.
So I'd probably board in the Blood Moons against the mono red deck. Seems like a good place to start. Just kidding. So if I'm Alex Hahn, I'm looking to basically lower my curve and be as interactive as possible. I think you do that with Anger of the Gods, as weird as it sounds, just because that allows them to potentially knock off those creatures if Collins is starting to swarm. Like that game, Anger of the Gods would have been exceptional in a number of spots. Now, outside of that, the sideboard here is not really built to interact well with this mono red prowess deck. You know, there's no thing that gains life, not a whole lot of spot removal, things of that nature. So I would expect Alex to basically just board out like a couple experimental frenzies and maybe one other expensive card and just bring in 3 angers.
Yeah, Anger's more, but you'd like to see some 1-mana interaction, but you still have a pretty powerful proactive plan, so we'll see if that can work out for him. Collins Mullen sideboard, 4 Bone Crusher Giants, 3 Dragon's Claws, 3 Blood Moons of his own, 2 Surgical Extraction, 2 Smash to Smithereens, and In a Braid.
So if you're Collins, stuff like Bone Crusher Giant is decent here because it does take care of Goose and Emery and allow you to have a follow-up play of a 4/3 creature on turn 3. Now that creature does get, elked by Oko, but that's not even that big of a deal because you've already gotten all the value out of it. It's just fine. So I'd probably bring in those. They seem pretty decent here. Any matchup where Bone Crusher can kill creatures is probably a matchup where Bone Crusher comes in, be my guess. It is extremely good. It's a very, very, very good card. Now, so the rest of the sideboard, Blood Moon's not it. But basically, when both players have Blood Moon, neither player has Blood Moon, or they shouldn't have Blood Moon in the deck. Surgical Attraction doesn't do much. Smash the Smithereens and a Braid are probably going to come in, but they're not going to be super good. Simply put, all the artifacts from the Team Urza deck are expendable, and disenchant effects are weak.
And I'll try to exemplify it in a sentence. Smash to Smithereens targeting food token.
Yeah, that actually happens quite a bit.
Right.
Especially when your opponent goes turn 1 Goose and you're on the play, and you're just like, okay, turn 2, smash your food, attack for 2 with my prowess creature. You're at 15.
So let's see if Hahn can tie things up. You want to maximize your time in the Feature Max area because that means you're spending more time in your KNOX chair. Probably the greatest improvements to coverage in the last year. And if you want a chair of your own at home, you can save 10% at checkout over at KNOX.com/SCG.
Now, in order to get that 10% discount, you have to go to KNOX.com/SCG SCG. So make sure to do that. KNOX, put your butt in us.
We've got your back.
Oh, I must have been looking at the old slide.
Right. Yeah. They've changed their slogan.
Sit
a
on
couple
me,
times.
daddy.
That was
no.
That's not
okay.
it.
No, it's not the one.
We've got your back. That's the one.
Well, before they actually had a slogan, I actually just came up with a bunch of random ones, if you recall.
No.
You.
I know.
Oh, okay. Your no was incredulous.
You literally just said 2 of them.
Right.
I believe you. That's obviously the truth.
Yeah. All right, looks like both players here are about ready for game number 2. Alex Hahn's going to be on the play. See if he's got a good one.
Going to bobble. Takes a look at his own card. Plays a Scalding Tarn. Casts a Mox Opal. Does not seem to like that bobble card. He's going to crack that Scalding Tarn.
Yeah, that is going to allow him to reset the top of the deck. That snow-covered mountain signifies to me some form of spot removal, probably. Or removal in general, maybe Anger of the Gods for later, maybe Galvanic Blast for early in the game. Not sure yet.
I want to say I spot at least a blast in the hand.
You know, maybe after sideboard with the Anger of the Gods and the Galvanic Blast, maybe Experimental Frenzy is not nearly as bad. You know, it did look pretty bad last game, but that's just because Alex was kind of stalled on mana. Normally against these red decks where you're trying to kill everything, stuff like Experimental Frenzy is quite good.
Turn 1 for Mullen is Mountain Soulscar Mage. That gets blasted. Go back over to Hahn.
If anyone ever tells you that their sideboard guide is perfect,
they're lying.
They are a liar. I change what I want to sideboard literally between games.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's when you're supposed to do it.
Well,
that's the whole thing.
You know. Okay. Between games 2 and 3, I often change how I sideboard. There it is. Like I said, just getting dumpstered for just using normal language shortcuts. Just every time.
Here's some Misty Rainforest for Han. He'll fetch the 18. I'd apologize for who I am, but it would come off as insincere because I refuse to change. Stomping Ground. Looks like that's coming in tapped. And just to pass to the turn. We'll see what Collins Mullen can do. It looks like Smash to Smithereens is at the front of the hand. He's going to cast Monastery Swift Spear. Keep those threats coming early and often. And attack for 1. Hahn to 6-17 and a Soulscar Mage post-combat. Needs to dodge a sweeper here, but if you can untap with 2 prowess creatures, your damage output is very high.
Oh, for sure. The games that the moderate prowess deck really looks the best is when your opponent's kind of goldfishing, and if you just get to untap with multiple prowess creatures, the game almost always ends. Just so much burst damage coming from this prowess deck.
All right, well, this is going to answer it pretty quickly. Hahn fetches to 16, finds a snow-covered island, and casts Anger of the Gods.
Woo, 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 woo. Wang, wang.
Say goodbye to the squad. Those are exiled.
Back Collins' way. Let's see if he can redeploy another threat if he has one, or maybe just cast something like light up the stage, looking for something, some sort of pressure.
Sunbaked Canyon go. Not an inspired turn.
No, it does have Smash to Smithereens. Maybe he's waiting to see if Han deploys 2 artifacts, and if so, maybe try to destroy that Mox Opal before the other one resolves. Looks like Han actually picked up a copy of Urza, Lord High Artificer, so if he has the land to go with it, it's going to be a great turn for him. Even if all he does is cast Urza, it's just fine.
Lands Waterlogged Grove. Doesn't seem to be in a rush to use that for mana. He will cast Gilded Goose and make a food token. Pass the turn. Mullen's going to cook the goose with a Burst Lightning.
You can't do it like that. You got to say, man, that goose is cooked.
You want to do it a little different every time. That's how you keep it fresh.
See, I like to think that we just like got the golden egg out the goose and now it's gone.
I like that.
No,
That was alliteration.
All right.
Yeah. I guess I was off air when you said that thing before. You said it was alliteration, but it wasn't alliteration.
Look, I was just like waiting for the realization set in. No one else knows what you're talking about.
That callback is literally just for you and me. All right, Fiery Islet go after cracking the Sunbaked Canyon. Now Han's going to deploy that Urza. Takes a point off the Grove to do it.
I guess that makes sense because I also only make jokes for you and me like a lot.
There's a Construct. We'll get that turned into a Matthias here.
Oh, it's gone. Don't worry.
Or we'll smash it.
Gone.
The response here has a tap of 3, and that's going to get Metallic Rebuked.
This is a nice sequence from Alex. Over the last 2 turns, I think, played that really nicely. Held up that Rebuke for quite some time. Had the ability to cast Urza last turn, chose not to so that he could play it and Rebuke in the same turn.
All right, Mountain. Big draw step for Mullen. Here's that runaway Steamkin. That's going to take over the game any second now.
It might, actually. He has Light Up the Stage in hand, and that's one way for him to leverage a hard cast Light Up the Stage. Look, you joke. What is better?
Joking's all I got, man.
That's true.
Don't take this away from me.
Okay. I thought you had a pretty successful stream and coffee shop,
Yeah.
board game store.
Healthy relationship.
Yeah. You're doing great.
Good friends.
Yeah.
You're
enemies.
You're right. You're right. Oh,
Better
yeah.
enemies,
oh,
though.
Yeah. All right, back to Alex Han. He's going to play a basic land. Shuffle up for that Urza. Hand's pretty light. Hand's pretty light at this point, so
yeah,
some help.
Used a lot of his resources just trading for Colin's side, and now we're going to see basically the card draw stuff from this Team Urza deck versus the card draw stuff from the Prowess deck, and it's going to be basically a coin flip to see who wins. Except Alex Han's starting at a pretty far ahead thanks to the Urza.
It's a weighted coin. There's a Mishra's Bobble off the flip.
The classic two-face strategy.
Yeah.
It's like they're both heads. One of them's just scratched out a little bit.
All right, so there is an attack with the Construct. Post-combat, here's an Emery. I believe the attack was for 4. Mullen to 16. Honda 14 to cast that Emery, but still a solid position.
All right, Colin's here. Going to get to untap with the Runaway Steamkin, though, and that might be enough to perhaps swing the pendulum back in his favor. I don't want to count anybody out anymore, okay? I counted out Russell Lee last round, came back, demolished
True.
Team Urza after a turn 2 Urza.
So here's something that I don't know the man, but this is based off of a statement that I heard he made about a story, but it's something I picked up from Gabriel Nassif. When it comes to called shots, you just make them, because if you're right, you look really cool and smart.
Yeah.
And if you're wrong, nobody remembers anyway.
Right. How many times do you think he set Cruel Ultimatum mana up when he was dead on board?
You know what my favorite thing about that turn is, too?
Huh.
He sets up the Ultimatum mana, draws it, and then just taps differently. He just resets it. It's incredible. All right, so back over to Colin's Mullen. It looks like a Lava Dart and a Bedlam Reveler in hand, but that graveyard is largely lands and creatures. I think he's a way off the Reveler, but the Lava Dart's kind of a ritual with this Steamkin. It is awkward, though, because flashing it back exiles it. I don't know that he's going to be close to getting to Bedlam Reveler this turn.
Well, there's not as many creatures in the graveyard as you might think, just simply because the Swift Spear and the Soulscar died.
Sure. Those two over there were exiled, but
Yeah,
there's turn 1 Soulscar Mage, there's 2 lands.
I believe there's a Burst
and
Lightning.
2 spells.
Yeah, just 2 spells. There's Burst Lightning and a Smash Smithereens, but Lava Dart, maybe a couple other things make Steamkin viable, but Light Up the Stage can change everything.
So here's an attack for 1, and Emery is just going to get in the way.
Whoa.
I would expect something before damage here.
Well, what this does, though, it actually just constricts the rest of Collins' entire turn. The Lava Dart is going to be able to effectively grow the Steamkin, but Collins can no longer remove the 3 counters from it to gain mana unless he is willing to let the Runaway Steamkin die.
Yeah. So before damage, Lava Dart goes upstairs, Honda 13. That makes the Steamkin a 2, but that's it. Mullen's going to pass.
Look, I could have been wrong about the Live the Stage. I thought he had it, but at this juncture, it looks like he's out of steam.
Love it.
Man.
That was good.
Steam can. Look,
you're ruining it.
Well,
it was so good. Back to Alex Han. He used the Mishra's Bobble there. Going to cast an Arkham's Astrolabe. And then play another Bobble.
A little bit of clutter. A little bit of clutter happening on Han's side, but I don't blame Han.
Just the deck.
I blame the cards.
Here is Oko. All right, this is where things get out of hand. All right, lands in back, creatures in front, planeswalkers in the middle. This is how you assemble your battlefield. And see what Oko wants to do. If you were afraid of it, you could elk the Steamkin, but I'm not inspired by that play.
I kind of love it. I kind of like just saying, I got this giant construct. I'm going to make your Steamkin into a 4/4. Let's go.
Well, Han disagrees. He's going to elk Strolave.
Yeah, he's trying to end the game, and that is, pretty great.
The elk does have summoning sickness. Here's an attack with a construct. For that reason, you'd like to see that post-combat because he kind of shrunk his construct there, but still 5 coming across.
It's possible that he was about to attack and then realized that he had played it this turn.
Right.
Slight mistake from Han, but probably not going to hurt him too badly, but we'll just have to wait and see.
Mullen to 11. Thinking about some bobble action in the upkeep. And he will bobble. Let's take a look at what Mullen's drawing. And Mullen will draw. Looks like it was light up the stage.
That's a hot one.
Now he can start going off. If he's really feeling it, he could flashback Lava Dart to make that cost 1. But you got to do some Reveler math, too, because you want to keep those instants and sorceries in the graveyard.
Yeah, at least for as long as possible. But when the difference is light up stage for 1 versus 3, it's pretty big. So I wouldn't be surprised to see him just float a red, Lava Dart face, put a counter on the Steamkin, cast live to stage, put another counter on the Steamkin, and he can actually just cast Bedlam Reveler from there this turn. Thanks to the 3 red floating, there will be 3 instant sorcerers in the graveyard thanks to the live the stage, and then 3 untapped lands. So
there it is. Float a red, a Lava Dart upstairs. Steamkin has a second counter now. Han to 12. Use that mana for light up the stage. Steamkin now has 3 counters. Exile is Smash to Smithereens and Crash Through.
Okay, so remove the 3 counters, make 3 red, play Smash Smithereens, play Crash Through, kill, I guess, the Mox Opal or the Construct, your dealer's choice, and then can still cast Bedlam Reveler and maybe keep going from there.
So Steamkin is going to make that 3 red. Crash Through, down to 2 floating. Steamkin back to 1 counter. Mullen draws a card. Draws a mountain, so a couple mountains in hand, but Reveler cleans that up.
Yep, hasn't played a land for turn yet either, so still has that at his disposal. I believe.
This is my understanding of the situation.
All right, gotta say, Ryan, Runaway Steamkin looking pretty damn good. Just saying. It's looking pretty good here.
Could you shut up? Smash the Smithereens on the Construct token. No mana floating. Steamkin up to 2 counters. Construct down. Han to 9 off of that.
All right, well, now Bedlam Reveler can be cast for 3, I believe. And then with the land for turn, that would put another counter on Steamkin, so he still has access to roughly 4 mana for the remainder of the turn. Maybe more if he hits a string of 1 or free spells off of the draw 3.
So there is the Reveler, discards a mountain, Steamkin to 3 counters, and 3 fresh cards, and these are spells.
Not only is it 3 spells, but one of them is Manamorphose, and another one is Runaway Steamkin.
You'd prefer to see a Reveler over the Steamkin, but,
Sure, but
he can make a lot of mana.
This turn can go for a while if the Manamorphose hits well.
Right. Another light up the stage would be huge.
Agree. And while he's not going to be able to win this turn more than likely, there is a chance he just swings the game entirely in his favor after having just Runaway Steamkin versus Urza, Construct, Oko, 3/3 Elk, and 2 other artifacts.
He's going to make 3 mana, going to use Manamorphose, just red into red, Steamkin at 1 counter.
Found a second Bone Crusher Giant, has 4 mana at the ready, can play Stomp on both.
So your second Steamkin.
Oh my god, what a turn. This is about to be ridiculous.
Goes down to 1 red, first Steamkin up to 2 counters.
Yep.
Now Mullen's going to give it a think. He still has 2 mana here.
Oh, he actually might have punted this by playing the second Steamkin. He had the ability to double stomp, kill the elk, and then post-combat play a Bone Crusher Giant. But now I think he can still double stomp, but can't cast the Bone Crusher.
Yeah, I mean, how different is having Bone Crusher versus
4-3 versus 3-3? No, you're right. You're right. Maybe it's not a punt, but it's okay. Double Bone Crusher here also forces him to Bone Crusher before attacks, so that he gets to attack with a 4-4. But I guess he could maybe kill the elk, but that leaves the Urza sticking around, so I don't know. This is tough.
And Mullen's going to make this decision deliberately. Wants to make sure he tags the right thing.
I mean, it's hard to blame him. He's played 9 spells this turn or whatever. Storm count is billion. Let's get that Caleb Share token on the battlefield.
Stomp. It's going to grow the Steamkins. Think about targeting Oko. And that is the target. All right, okay, so... actually, never mind. I was going to say, because Crash Through was cast this turn, maybe this is a way, but the mana doesn't line up right.
Right.
You would have to give away the Steamkin. I guess you could attack the 4-4 at the Oko, no matter what, trample over for 1, and then spend the Steamkin for the second stomp.
Yeah, and then upkeep, you can stomp it. So this
sure.
This actually plays. So it's going to get 1 damage here from the Crash Through, trampling over the Elk token. Han here, going to actually block with the 3-3 too, so Colin's actually going to clean up real nice. Oko, oh, he missed the trample damage.
Yeah. So, looks like Elk just soaked up 4 damage there. And we see Waterlog Grove activated for Han.
I was going to say he can't use the Mox Opal, but he has the Urza, so womp.
Right, that's just a Mox Sapphire.
Yep.
All right, so draw some cards here. See what Han can do about this. The battlefield's gotten a little out of control on the other side of the table here.
Yep. 2 Runaway Steamkins and a Bedlam Reveler. There's still a Bone Crusher Giant in hand as well as one on an adventure. So even if Collins draws a brick for turn, he can still cast 3 spells thanks to the extra mana from the Runaway Steamkins, which includes 2 4-3 bodies as well as a deal 2.
Polluted Delta, the land for Han. Gonna crack that, go into 8. Still has active Oko, but has 3 creatures that are kind of all significant problems facing down for Mullen. Reveler and double Steamkin.
Yeah, I mean, even if you plus the Oko to poof one of the Runaway Steamkins, it's still just going to be a 6-6 or 4-4. You know, it's not that useful here. Needs actual removal. Something like Injure Explosives would be nice.
Explosives could be great. He's spinning Urza, though. Can't really spin Urza into Explosives. Finds Metallic Rebuke.
Can't spin into that one either.
Yeah, no thank you.
All right, well, Han probably going to turn this food token or the Mox Opal into an Elk, and then maybe sit back and play defense and probably die next turn, is my guess.
Well, it's like a +2. That just means food token.
All right.
And from 8, yeah, you need something else. Here's a Gilded Goose. Okay.
So he makes another food token, then he can tap all 3 of those food tokens to cast another spell. Ether Spellbomb. That's a nice one.
And as long as Mullen waits to his turn, which he wisely does because the Metallic Rebuke was still hanging out there, now he can use that Bone Crusher Giant. I'm not sure Han can beat a Crash Through, but Mullen was light on cards in hand, so just stomp Mountain from here.
I mean, he only cast 9 spells last turn. How can you expect him to win, to lose the game at this point, right?
9 spells ain't bad.
Was it actually 9? Flashback?
Dart,
I'm not going to count.
Morphos,
It's too much.
Stomp, second Steamkin, Bedlam Reveler. I believe it was 6. All right, here's another Stomp. Use the Steamkin mana to do that. And you can just cast these Bone Crusher Giants, though it's a little bit awkward on the mana. You can't quite get all his creatures up to 4/4s. So there is one of the Bone Crusher Giants using the floated mana and 2 more lands. Han is responding with Spell Bomb. He's going to bounce the Steamkin that was on 2 from there. That'll buy him some time. So the first Steamkin goes back up to 2.
Yeah, but he can just play the old Steamkin, put a counter on the new Steamkin, move to attacks, ship in with the two 4-power creatures. Han has to chump block, or else he's just going to die. And then post-combat, if the Steamkin goes unblocked, he can cast the Bone Crusher Giant off of the mana production from it. If Bedlam Reveler is blocked, costs him nothing.
Steamkin back, the first one up to a 4/4. The Reveler is at 4 because of the stomp.
He does not want to put in jeopardy here, so he's going to make another Bone Crusher Giant. He's going to put a counter on the old Steamkin. And now he can attack for 6. It's not lethal, but Urza can now block the 2/2 Steamkin and leave Alex sitting at 4 life with an untap.
Leftover card here, just Mountain for Mullen, but you see an attack with the legal Steamkin and the Reveler. They're coming at Oko.
Yeah, I would have loved for Mullins here to actually not play the second Bone Crusher Giant, attack in for 8, and force a chump block from Han. I think that would have been a significantly better line, just because that Urza can mean anything, right? The extra mana is excellent. The ability to find something in a pinch. And here Han can just block the Runaway Steamkin and the Oko still survives. It's only 4 power right now, if I'm not mistaken. Just one stomp was the only instant sorcerer cast.
Players seem to be talking that over, but I believe that to be correct. That's a 4/5. Urza looking to block the Steamkin, though this is not final just yet. That's where he lands, so Oko down to 1. Urza bounces the Steamkin, there's Mountain for Mullen. And Han needs something big here. You know, it'd be nice is Anger of the Gods. He's already used one of those.
Yeah, Anger does seem pretty sweet. Unfortunately, though, might need to be spinning for it. This might be Desperation Mode. Has the ability to gain a lot of life next turn, but it's probably not going to be enough. If he just makes a food token, can gain...
So he elked
9
Bedlam Reveler. Oh, wow, he did draw the Anger.
Wow,
Elk
dude.
your Reveler, now that's a Plague Wind. That is 5 creatures exiled on Collins Mullen's side. And a spin of the Urza to follow up, tapping those food tokens. And Mullen's empty, just has 5 mountains on the table, no cards in hand.
Tides have turned. Alex Han here with one heck of a rip. Finds another Oko too.
Yeah, he already used that Oko, so backup Oko plays.
Yep, and now he can actually just turn the Mox Opal into a 3/3, attack for 4, put Mullins on a real clock. Besides actually, okay, I thought he was going to hold back the Urza to potentially block a Monster Swiss Spear, but that's not really that threatening. One damage or 1 life with no cards in hand is probably fine.
Right, so the attack for 4 puts Mullen to 7. Crash through. Basically needs Reveler here. And even then, the Reveler needs to be good. It's just a mountain. Mullen's going to pick him up. Timely Anger of the Gods from Alex Han. We're going to a game number 3 here.
Yeah, that was one heck of a game. It looked like Han was going to run away with it at the beginning. Ran a little bit out of steam, and then Mullen was able to cobble together one hell of a turn featuring Runaway Steamkin, Bedlam Reveler, and a number of other cheap instants and sorceries. Unfortunately, missed the trample damage, and of course, as far as the rules are concerned, you have to assign the trample damage or else it doesn't go through. It's not automatic.
Right.
So both players can miss it. One person can't miss, or the controller can't miss it on purpose, but they can choose to assign all the damage to the creature no matter what. Yep. And that actually comes up every now and then. I'm not going to get into the semantics.
Right. I think the thing about Crash Through is that it's just a deck that cares about casting instants and sorceries, right? Prowess is looking to queue off of that. It replaces itself for 1 mana. That's an uncommon effect in red.
Right.
So it's easy to forget about the trample. I think that's very common that players do.
All right, here's a question for you.
Yeah.
If you get to untap with a Runaway Steamkin, or you get to untap with a Kiln Fiend.
Kiln Fiend.
Right. Same. Because they're dead.
Yes, it wins the game.
I don't think I've ever survived an untapped Kiln Fiend from that deck.
How could you?
How
could anybody?
It's 1,000. Especially if they have crashed through. Are you kidding? That's so much damage. But Runaway Steamkin does lead to some really fun turns like that. And
It's got that cool factor.
It does have the cool factor.
That's how it tricks you. Players looking at 7s for game number 3 here. A little over 15 minutes on the clock.
Should be enough time to finish the game, but who knows? With Urza, this game could last an hour.
Players have kept Mullen on the play here. Mountain crash through, so no 1-drop this time. Just cycling the effect there.
Yeah, but if he has a steam cannon for turn 2 and Alex Hahn doesn't have a way to deal with it, that could actually lead to some significant burst damage on the next turn.
True. Scalding Tarn. Hahn's going to fetch that to 19 for Snow-Covered Mountain. See what the follow-up is from here. Do we have some Astrolabes, Bobbles, Opals? What do you got?
My guess is Astrolabe into Bobble, into Mox, into Emery. Just because why not?
Well, there's Astrolabe, there's Opal. All right.
Dang.
No Bobble Emery, but still a fine turn. Let's go back to Mullen.
Pretty weak hand, it looks like.
Mountain Lava Dart you. Oh, my.
Yeah, Lava Dart into Light of the Sage, not really what you're looking for here, but that is a way to dig for threats. Normally, you want to have a threat on the battlefield when you start casting all this stuff because you want to generate that extra damage from the Prowess triggers, but in a pinch, you got to do what you got to do.
Finds Fiery Islet and light up the stage, so he has a scripted, pretty bad turn for next turn, but he can just do this.
Right.
Go back to Hahn, Snow-Covered Island. Here's Emery, so it wasn't turn 1, but it is turn 2, and Engineered Explosives was milled by the Emery.
And that's a repeatable sweeper effect, so Colin's going to need to deal with that Emery at some point, or just try to win via different means, like a Bedlam Reveler.
Mullen draws. It's like Bone Crusher Giant to pick up. Could answer the Emery.
Yeah, but, I mean, Engineered Explosives coming back is not a huge deal, and I think that without a real threat to play this turn, like if you just go Bone Crusher Giant to stomp the Emery, losing that Light Up the Stage is pretty bad, and I think casting your own Light Up the Stage now is worth more than Alex Hahn getting either the Engineered Explosives or the Aether Spellbomb back. But it's a really tough decision.
Plays the Fiery Islet. He's looking at Stomp. Stomps the Emery. If he was really feeling it, he could flashback Lava Dart and then light up the stage that way.
Yeah, that's actually not that bad, especially if he just has enough mana right now, right? So it makes some amount of sense that would be a play that he wants to make because light up the stage is just worth more than the Mountain and the Lava Dart in the graveyard.
Well, looks like we are seeing that. He will flashback Lava Dart after stomping the Emery.
Now, I would have maybe liked to have seen this before the stomp, simply because the shields are down. There's no Metallic Rebuke potential.
Sure, you might find another thing that just kills Emery, like Burst Lightning or additional Giant.
Like if he flips over, like if he had flipped over there, like a 1-mana removal in a 1-mana creature, that would have been a significantly better way to deal with the Emery than using the stomp. But it's, you know, the job is done. It's fine. Yeah,
the find off the light up is Mountain Soulscar Mage. Scalding Tarn pass is the turn for Hahn.
It's funny how you brought up the scripted turn with the Live the Stage, and it was just worse than what he could do, but casting Live the Stage is still pretty good. Like here, you know, he can cast Bone Crusher Giant, but you just need to gain that card off of casting the Soulscar Mage, I believe. Yeah. Even though it's a significantly worse play than just making a 4-3.
Right. Yeah, sometimes you feel a little trapped under your Light Up the Stage.
Yeah, I got to the point in Standard when I was playing a lot of Mono Red where I would just not cast Live the Stage on turn 2 unless I just need to hit a land drop.
I think that I am more disciplined with Light Up the Stage than probably most people.
Yeah, I would guess that. The more you play with it, the more you realize that you need to leverage every card out of it, and you can't be casting it in spots where your next turn is locked up already.
Right. You leave them stranded, then the card's just bad. So Soulscar Mage deployed here. The Mountain played off the light up as well. And with that, Mullen will pass. Looks like 3 instants and sorceries in graveyard. There's a Reveler in hand. It's going to take a little bit of time for that, though.
Yeah, a little flooded. Kept a weakish hand, but had a couple cyclers and stuff, so we'll see if it pans out. I just feel like every turn has just been worse than what it could have been because of Light Up the Stage.
So here's a fetch end step for Hahn. Goes and finds a tapped Steam Vents. And he's just going to untap and draw. Looks like there's an Urza in the hand. Ooh, Oko is the pickup. I think he has Oko with Galvanic Blast. Well, he's going to play Urza. That turns on Metalcraft for the Opal, so this also leaves up Galvanic Blast.
Leaves up Galvanic Blast, Metallic Rebuke. Could have even cast the Oko if he so chose.
Back to Collins Mullen, now facing down an Urza.
Yeah, 3/3 Construct token and an Urza is pretty daunting, especially if you think that Han has some sort of counter magic here, which he very likely does. If he's not casting the Oko.
Lightning Bolt from Mullen, targeting the 3/3 Construct.
Would have really liked for Mullins to play a land from hand here. If this gets hit with Metallic Rebuke, it actually gets a little awkward. Not going to end up mattering, though.
Response is Galvanic Blast on the Soulscar Mage, so likely with the Prowess trigger on the stack. That solves the Soulscar Mage. Now the Lightning Bolt takes down the Construct, but first Han floats a blue mana. Sunbaked Canyon for Mullen. He'll take 2 points off those Horizon lands to 17, cast Bone Crusher Giant.
Yep, but now he has a creature that can actually attack through the 1/4 body of the Urza, so it's going to be on Han to figure out some answer here. Oko does seem like a pretty easy one. Just poof it to a 3/3. Can also just make a 3/3 of his own on Astrolabe or some such, and it's just good enough.
Even just making a food token means the Giant doesn't do it alone. Yeah, maybe a little bit weak, but he has options.
I think he has Anger of the Gods too. Maybe he's thinking about using Anger here just as a 1-for-1 removal spell for the Bone Crusher. Check in to make sure there's not a second Lava Dart hanging out, I think. Because that would be pretty funny on the Urza there.
Sure, finish off the Urza, yeah. Does fire off Anger, takes care of the Giant. And this leaves up Metallic Rebuke. There's an attack from the Urza, Mullen to 16.
Now, I really like how Alex has sequenced this game. He's basically given himself at most points the ability to play an answer plus a counterspell or a threat plus a counterspell. That's really putting the screws on Collins. His sequencing has also just been really awkward thanks to those light up the stages.
Mullen draws and casts Lightning Bolt. Honda 13 off of that. The thing that you don't want to see here if you're a Collins Mullen fan is a tap out for Bedlam Reveler. Unless Mullen has 2 of them.
Well, he has light up the stage here. I wouldn't be surprised if he lights up the stage for 1 as a bait, and then follows that up with Bedlam Reveler, because he still has a land drop to play.
And honestly, you just kind of get to use both. Like, he has enough mana to leverage this. There is light up, that works. Finds Steamkin, Soulscar Mage.
Wow, that is a ton of discipline from Alex. Not using the Metallic Rebuke on the draw 2. Waiting for Mullins to just use more of his mana. Trying to tag either Bedlam Reveler or a bigger threat off of the light of the stage.
2 damage off those Horizon lands. Mullen to 14. Going to cast that Steamkin.
Now, he does have an Anger of the Gods in hand, so I wouldn't be surprised if he lets this resolve. Hopes that Collins goes for, like, land post combat plus put a counter on the Soulscar. Or put a counter on the Steamkin.
Oh, yeah, there's land. Soulscar Mage. Steamkin up to a 2, but if there is an Anger, like you said, that'll clean that up.
Now, there is an interesting point here where I believe Soulscar Mage will put 3 negative counters on the Urza.
It's only damage sources you control, I believe.
Okay. No, I think you're right. Good call.
All right, Oko up to 6, makes a food token. That's the cast from Han. 3 more mana. I think he has to tap the food to do this. No, he has Opal. Never mind. That's happening for red.
Opal's turned on.
Anger of the Gods cleans that up. Urza attacks for 1. Mullen to 13.
Now, all the damage that Collins has done to himself via those Canopy lands might come back to bite him here, but he's going to have a pretty big turn this turn if he does have that Bedlam Reveler.
Sunbaked Canyon's the land. There's Reveler. Discards a mountain. Looking for 3 good ones here. Bone Crusher Giant? I think a backup Reveler?
Yeah, I think he's got Bone Crusher Giant, Soulscar Mage, and a Reveler, which is all pretty good.
Can't quite do it all, but any turn where you can cast 2 Revelers is often going to put you in a much better position than you were before.
Yeah. Wouldn't be surprised here if actually Collins just plays Okay.
We'll stomp on the Oko. Oko to 4.
Is he just going to cast the other Bedlam Reveler here?
I imagine so.
Yeah, no, that seems great. And this also plays around the counterspell. He's just dealing himself so much damage with his lands. And I guess the Soulscar Mage is inconsequential at the moment, so another draw 3, so he's going to have an outrageous next turn.
It goes to 10. It's like Manamorphose among those 3 cards. It's always one you're happy to see. We go back to Alex Hahn.
This has been a hell of a match.
A lot of back and forth for sure.
Yeah, for sure. I think probably my favorite match of the weekend so far, just because there's been so many. Like if we had an advantage bar,
be swinging
it would
every
be
which
swinging. Alex Hahn, consulting a judge, had a rules question about a particular interaction.
Those double Reveler turns, that's about the, outside of killing you on turn 3, that's about the scariest thing Prowess can do.
Yeah. You're always digging for a Reveler. 4 mana is a tap here. Is this just a backup Urza?
That'd be okay.
I mean, it makes a, what, 4/4 creature? 5/5 if Hahn ticks up the Oko to make a food.
So it was Urza. There's a new construct. Oko is going to get up to some mischief.
As he do.
Going to turn that food into an elk.
Now, if I'm not mistaken, Hahn still has a Metallic Rebuke in hand, so it's going to be an odd turn if Collins spins his wheels a bunch and then gets rebuked at the wrong time. With that said, it's going to be hard to have a bad turn with 2 Bedlam Revelers on the table at the beginning of the turn.
It's also a little tough to get rebuked with 6 lands and a deck full of 1s and 2s.
Sure, but he does have Runaway Steamkin, which I assume he's going to cast, and then he has a Manamorphose, which I also assume he's going to cast. And if the Manamorphose gets tagged, that could just take all the wind out of his sails immediately.
Looks like there are just 4 spells. I think there's 2 Manamorphose.
Okay.
All right, so Steamkin is where he starts. Taps another land.
Oh, he's thinking about it, because if he went, okay, if he goes Swift Spear and then casts Manamorphose and gets countered, the fun stuff ends.
True. So it is Swift Spear. Steamkin gets a counter. Going to take 2 points down to 8. Imagine one of those Manamorphoses. Puts that on the stack. Steamkin up to 2 counters.
This does actually require Alex to tap the construct, so he's going to have a lot less defense at his disposal here.
So the Morphos gets rebuked.
Yeah, but these Bedlam Revelers are 4 power each. Chunking on in.
Swift Spear is a 2. That one a little tougher to make an attack with. Looks like just the Revelers. Question of whether you go for the Oko or whether you go upstairs.
Now, Collins' life total is in jeopardy here. If that Oko survives this turn, which I assume it's going to.
Swift Spear looking at coming across too. Well, he actually is going to take a look at what blocks might look like. All right, so if you block with the Elk, what happens?
If Swift Spear attacks, there's going to be either Oko dead or a chump block with the Elk or the Urza. I'm not sure which. Now, if I'm Hahn, I think I actually value the 3/3 pretty highly here, just because it rumbles in combat super well. So I'd probably go 3/3 on the Swift Spear, chump block Bedlam Reveler.
I think. Oh, okay. So Mullins has a blocker. So I guess he hasn't left himself dead, but Hahn has a way to present lethal attackers on the way back, which can be scary.
Right. Which is why I kind of wanted to leave the 3/3 around instead of the Urza. Because this doesn't take care of the Swift Spear either.
Yeah, so just some chump blocks there, and Elk goes to 1. Urza hangs on, but the Elk is down.
That does let Hahn just have a bunch of mana this turn if he wants it. That might be what he needs, honestly.
Oko is going to Elk up that Astrolabe. There's a 2/2 construct. He's going to spin Urza now.
Now you may ask, well, why didn't he spin Urza before he activated the Oko? Well, it's already happened once this game, or this match, where if he hits another Oko, he's going to lose out on that activation if he doesn't do it now. It may end up, the card he finds may end up changing what he wants to Elk, but the downside of not having an Elk is way too big.
Snow-covered island, not a great hit. Gonna put that on the battlefield and then cast Mishra's Bauble.
I think here Mullen just has way too much pressure. Now, my guess is that Mullen's going to send a reasonable amount of stuff at the Oko to just try to get it dead, but it's just not going to work.
So we are now in time here. So we go back to Collins Mullen. Do another Swift Spear, cast that. Steamkin up to 3. There is a Manamorphose in hand and 3 uncracked Horizon lands.
Yeah, I was about to point out the Horizon lands because there's a good chance that Alex just dies here. I know that I've faced off against this a number of times, specifically against you in leagues.
Yeah.
And it never turns out great for me.
True.
I don't know why.
I do bash you in the leagues from time to time.
Well, that's because you always play the same good deck, and I always play a bunch of wacky stuff.
Yeah, it's very strategic.
I had Deathwish Raptor in my deck the last time I played against you.
That's true.
You counting that one? You going to count that match on the scale?
You got to count them all. You got to count them all.
That's true. That's true.
Smash them smithereens, drawing off Morphos, target that construct.
That's bad. That's bad.
On to 10. And there's still another mana floating for Mullen. If he finds a crash through, I think the game is over.
Oh, for sure. I think it's just mathematically over.
Yeah.
So it might actually be mathematically over right now because he only has 2 blockers to block the 2 Bedlam Revelers. Right now, the Swissers are both 4 power or 2 power. That's 7 coming across right now. Has a lot of cracks for these lands to find any spell, which gives him an extra 3 mana, which lets him cast the Bone Crusher Giant, which puts the counters back on the thing.
Well, the looks weren't great. Found Mountain and another Swift Spear. But he's still kind of going, right? He can play the Swift Spear, use the Steamkin, gets another look with that last Horizon land.
Yep. Play the other Swift Spear here. The extra 3 mana you can get with the Steamkin can find something off the top. I think he wants to attack with the Steamkin this turn. And he's trying to figure out if he wants to go ahead and burn the mana to cast stuff or if he wants to just cast Swift Spear, put a counter on the runaway Steamkin, shove everything at face, see how the blocks go. Post-combat, maybe do some stuff, maybe just let it lie. As the game's only going to last for 6 total more turns, including this one.
Lands on casting the Swift Spear. Steamkin up to 3 counters. We'll see if he wants to use that Islet pre-combat or just send. If you block both Revelers, you got a couple...
I actually just miscounted. There's been 2 instant sorceries play this turn, so these creatures... This is lethal attack.
Morphos smash, right?
Yeah, if he attacks everything, the game should be over, unless Han has something for 1 blue that we don't know about.
Yeah, so you block both Revelers, and you got 3, 6, 10 coming across. Plays the Mountain, uses that to sacrifice the Outlet. Not likely there's something he's going to cast here. And here comes the team. We believe this to be a lethal attack.
Yeah, with only 2 blockers, Han's mana disappears. He has 2 mana at his disposal, 2 blockers. Looking over the deck list, I don't see any 1 card that gets the job done.
No 1 mana settle the wreckage.
There's 11 damage coming through if he blocks the 2 Bedlam Revelers. So, I mean, he could have something. He has a blue off the Mishra's Bauble and a blue untapped. I feel like if he had anything, it would have been cast already, though.
Yeah, you can't, like, flash in Ether Spellbomb.
Just doing a quick glance just to make sure I'm not missing something.
And I think that's largely what Han is doing, right? You know,
sure.
Am I actually dead? I think I'm dead.
I guess there's a small chance he's like trying to bait Collins into activating the Steamkin before damage to cast 1 spell, and maybe that's 1 shy of lethal.
So Han looking at blocking those Revelers and taking lethal +1.
Yep. I mean, there were some invisible. It's hard to see all the triggers, you know, especially when you sequence in such a way where Swissers were cast at different points in time. But I think the real end of the story there is that two